XXXTentacion, who was born on January 23, 1998 in Florida, had a difficult childhood and often found himself in trouble with the law. He was expelled from several schools and even spent time in juvenile detention centers. During this time, he discovered his love for music and started writing his own songs. XXXTentacion's music career began in 2013 when he released his first song on the audio distribution platform titled SoundCloud. He gained a huge following on this platform, as his music soon attracted the attention of major record labels. In 2016, he released his debut mixtape titled XXXTentacion Presents Members Only Volume 1. X's career was not without any controversy. In 2016, he was arrested and charged with several crimes. Despite the charges, he continued to release music and his popularity only grew, as in 2017, he released his debut studio album titled 17, which debuted number 2 on the Billboard 200 chart. However, in the middle of his music changing the world and going viral in a way we have never seen before, there was a beef being created between him and Toronto rapper Drake that would only continue to get larger and larger throughout his career. Now, this would help his music career skyrocket, but it also changed many things about his image. As this beef all started when X made a tweet stating, "Drake's mom is kinda cute." It just so happened that X would then later be arrested, and while X was arrested, his hit song Look At Me went viral online. Drake noticed it, and he released a song titled KMT, stealing the exact flow, speed, and even a similar beat of X's song. Now, XXXTentacion would later be released from jail. Beating all of his charges, he went straight after Toronto rapper Drake, starting a huge beef online, which helped X's career skyrocket even more. Now, this was until the sad day of June 18th, 2018. Now, this would be the day the internet stood still, as reports were being released of XXXTentacion passing away due to 4 suspects named Michael Boatwright, Dedrick Williams, Trayvon Newsom, as well as Robert Allen. On June 18th, 2018, X's day starts with him hopping into his all-black custom BMW i8 that was famous for him driving on his Instagram as well as in music videos. X's day started with him driving to Riva Motorsports, where he would look at motorcycles that he wanted to purchase for the summer. After finding a motorcycle that he really wanted, he then hopped back into his vehicle, calling his mom, telling her the good news that he wants to go purchase a motorcycle. His mom then tells him to come pick up his uncle, that way someone can drive his i8 home while he drives the motorcycle. With XXXTentacion picking up his uncle, he then heads over to the Bank of America. While at the bank, X wanted to withdraw $250,000 in cash to make the purchase of the motorcycle. While at the bank, the teller's only allowed to give him 50 grand, as shared during this never-before-seen footage of X at the bank.
During your encounter with Mr. Onfroy during this time, what was his demeanor like? Fun. He's happy.
If you're a fan of XXXTentacion, leave a like on this video. I'm curious how many fans are watching today. Now, the bank teller revealed that XXXTentacion tried withdrawing $250K, but the bank does not carry that kind of cash. She handed over 50 grand and ordered the rest for him at a later date. XXXTentacion then leaves the Bank of America, meets up with his uncle outside, and begins walking back into his BMW. Hopping back into the vehicle and driving back to Riva Motorsports, the 4 suspects actually see X walking into his car in the parking lot. Robert Allen, a snitch right now in the X trial, reveals the 4 suspects were actually trying to do something for money this entire day. Seeing a famous rapper leave the bank, they had the idea of tailing his vehicle, which is what they later did. With the suspects tailing X's car, he then pulls into the parking lot of Riva. He hops out of his BMW and starts walking back into the motorcycle shop. 2 of the suspects then follow X. They watch watch him from a distance inside the store, keeping an eye on him while trying to figure out what is in that Louis V bag. The other two suspects, they then park their vehicle across the street from Riva, trying to get out of the way of the security cameras on the outside. With XXXTentacion as well as his uncle inside Riva, there was two men that also followed him in the store. The two suspects that followed inside, they ended up buying the ski masks and gloves that were used during the incident 15 feet away from the rapper. Now here's surveillance photos of them entering the motorcycle shop with X. The craziest part is, XXXTentacion makes eye contact with one of the suspects on tape. Now X ended up walking around Riva for quite some time. He looked at the motorcycle but then realized he didn't really want it. He then left the motorcycle shop with his uncle while still wearing the pullover Louis Vuitton bag, with the two suspects then leaving as well and sprinting to the Jeep. XXXTentacion hops into his BMW, he sits for a couple of minutes, and the suspects were able to get back to the other two suspects in the car. X then turns on his BMW i8. The suspects from across the street realize this, they then turn on their engine as well. X then attempts to leave the parking lot of the motorcycle shop, and then the four suspects, they then drive right in front of where X is, and he then cuts him off, making him not able to move his car. Two men then quickly hop out of the Jeep. They both go to XXXTentacion's side of the car, holding firearms, demanding him to roll his windows down and hand over the bag of cash. Now X refused. This made the men angry, as a small brawl ends up happening in the small car window of an i8, and while this is going down, X's uncle in the passenger seat, he then opens his butterfly door and he starts sprinting for the hills, leaving X all by himself. With X being left all alone, one of the other suspects then go to the passenger side of the vehicle to get X in two separate ways. They were then able to retrieve the bag of cash, and we all know what happened after that. The two men, once retrieving the Louis V bag, they then throw it into their vehicle and they drive off. During the XXXTentacion trial, it was revealed, and I quote, "Prosecutors say Dedrick Williams was driving. He cut off X's vehicle, then Michael Boatwright and Trayvon Newsom are the two that put the ski masks on and had firearms. The passenger of X's vehicle manages to run away, the two suspects approach X, and Boatwright does the act." Now here's where everything gets revealed that no one knew. With the XXXTentacion trial currently in progress, one of the four suspects named Robert Allen is snitching on the other three. Robert revealed everything about his passing from somebody 15 feet away from it happening. We learned exactly how the 50 grand these suspects stole from X was split, including photos of them flexing the money. Michael Boatwright, Dedrick Williams, and Trayvon Newsom, they all got $15,000 each, meaning there is 45 grand of the 50 already gone. This means that Robert Allen, he was only given $5,000. Pretty interesting, the man paid the least is now the one snitching in the case, as this tweet was also shared in the courtroom. Pictures taken after X's passing shows defendant Michael Boatwright flexing a lot of cash. Defendant turned state, witnesses testify this is XXXTentacion's cash, and these photos were taken hours after the incident, revealing these photos of the suspects flexing a few $1,000s worth of cash, thinking they're cool. Shortly after, Robert Allen would share in the courtroom XXXTentacion's last words. Now after the incident was done and the two suspects hopped back into their vehicle, they actually shared what X said. As shared by DJ Academics, XXXTentacion's last words were, "What is this for?" making the Florida rapper's passing even feel more upsetting. XXXTentacion, he didn't even understand what was happening in the moment. It all happened within seconds. Also shared in the XXXTentacion trial is something very important that all X fans should hear. Now this is due to Drake's involvement that we shared earlier in the video. The suspects' defense attorney, they mentioned in the courtroom that Drake had involvement in this, as this was their lawyer speaking on Drake.
Before X, he said, if anybody, it's Drake. And do you think that for one moment, here today, days after the event, two masked men, right? He came on social media and said, guys, if anybody, it's Drake. Do you think in that time span that they went and they addressed him, they talked to him? No. Do you think sitting here today, years later, any detective has ever asked, Drake or anybody like that? No, they never did that. So you ask yourself, how could that be? And you say, hey, it's so-and-so, you better believe so-and-so is gonna get investigated. But in this case, they didn't do it. They didn't do it because it didn't comport with their version and their narrative. And as law enforcement, I think that they have the obligation to do so.
The defense attorney states, and I quote, XXXTentacion said, "If I ever were to pass, Drake did it." Now, this was due to an Instagram live stream that X had, where he also posted on his story, and I quote, "If anyone tries to get me, it was at Champagne Poppy, aka Drake. I'm snitching right now." As these Drake lyrics were also shared in the courtroom. Maybe I should do a 20, maybe I should break that 20, do a 10. Maybe I should break that 10, do a 5. If it gets live, do a 5 again. If he held his tongue on that live, he'd be alive again. Now, obviously these lyrics are for entertainment and are most likely directed at something random. But if you break a 20, you get 2 10s. Then if you do a 5, and if it gets live, do a 5 again, leaving you with 2 sets of 5, added together as 10, and in the end leaves you with 3 number 10s. 3 10s in Roman numerals is 3 X's. Then Drake says if he held his tongue on that live, he would be alive. As on the Instagram live, X made many statements about Drake and his mom as well. Now, this has been a theory for a few years now, that Drake had some sort of involvement in it, but the reality is he had no involvement in the passing of XXXTentacion. It's very clear that Drake's lyrics were for entertainment. He did not go out of his way to do something to X, as it's a very important key to add in the story of Florida rapper XXXTentacion's life and music career. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like on it and don't forget to subscribe. Been District Trending, and I'm out. Peace.